Let the meltdown begin. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network. I am Gabriel Morency. Let's do this thing. Double threat style is we're kicking it with Mike Chiesa, and we're going to be throwing it down with Joey Odessa. We've got another double header of UFC events this weekend, and man, this one's a freaking marathon. The first fight, I believe, scheduled for 2:30 Eastern time on Friday night, and it's going to take us all the way to late night Saturday night. Cub Swanson and Jeremy Stevens headlining in San Antonio, Texas, home of the NBA champion San Antonio Spurs. So we pick up the pieces following UFC 174 in Vancouver. For the most part, it was kind of a forgettable card. Nothing really stood out all that much. Rory MacDonald was dominant against Tyrone Woodley. Dana White throws Woodley under the bus and says that Woodley chokes in big fights. I thought that was a little bit harsh. But Rory did dominate. Where Rory is right now in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Hendricks in the future. We'll see what happens with Robbie Lawler and Matt Brown. A lot of stuff to get to, a lot of fights to get to with Joey Odessa. We had a pretty good week last week with our picks, but when I say that it was kind of a forgettable card, the fight that stuck out to me the most from Vancouver this past weekend was Elizabeth Phillips and Valerie Letourneau, or I should call her Latanko. As this chick, man, was eating shots like Captain Crunch for freaking breakfast. And Mike Chiesa was actually in the corner of Elizabeth Phillips. Mike Chiesa steps up in it and joins us. Mike, it's always a pleasure, my man. How you doing?
Doing real good, man. Doing good. Had a good time in Vancouver. Spent around a week up there. Glad to be home, though.
And I know you were in the corner of Elizabeth, and I thought it should have been fight of the night. No disrespect to Bong and to Johnson. But really, these two girls left their heart in the middle of the octagon. It's amazing, isn't it, Michael? We don't often see, it's rare for the male fighters to just willingly stand in the middle and bang. Yet that's what these two did, man. Valerie and Elizabeth. Holy crap, what a fight.
Yeah, but the thing is we didn't want Elizabeth to do that. She The reason why I thought Elizabeth should have got fight of the night, and as well as Valerie, is the circumstances. Both these girls stepped up on a week's notice. They had both fought recently. I'm not too sure when Valerie fought, but I know Liz fought on May 30th, and she actually tried to make 125. So Liz cut a bunch of weight, fought on the 30th, had a really tough fight, went all 3 rounds with this chick, a girl with a good record. The girl that she fought was like 3-0, and then she gets the call 3 days later to fight in the UFC, steps up and takes the fight. And, look how the fight panned out. It was a 3-round war, just like you said, should have been fight of the night. I agree, especially with both these girls stepping up on short notice and given the performance that they did. It wasn't the most technical fight, but, those girls went out there and fought their hearts out. I mean, of course I want Elizabeth to win. I always want my teammates to do well, but, I got to give it up for Valerie. I mean, she took some hard shots. I'm sure she's got a broken orbital bone. She managed to hang in there and got out a split decision.
At what point, Michael, when you're in the corner there, at what point do you realize, like, holy crap, like, we can hit this girl, Valerie, but she's not going down? It's like she was like the Terminator, man. She just sort of kept stalking forward and eating the shots, and she was willing to trade. Were you thinking, were you confident that Liz could get her? Or at some point, were you thinking, man, it's going to be hard to knock this girl out?
I was confident in Liz. She was tagging her, and, we knew Valerie was a striker coming in. Liz was doing good on the feet. That really wasn't our game plan. Our game plan was to put her on the fence, take her down, grind on her, beat her up, get some good ground and pound in, maybe go for some submissions. But, she had some early success on the feet, and I think that kind of got her sucked in. I think that first round, when she really tagged Valerie up and landed a lot of good shots and beat her up, I think that, not in her head, it drew her away from the game plan. I think just naturally she caught her with some good shots and just, the game plan went away with the wind, and she just went out there and just fought, So it happens, especially her first UFC fight, you know what I mean? It's,
yeah.
She was probably fired up,
we don't see a ton of fighters in other fighters' corners. Gil Melendez is somebody that seems to really enjoy it and embrace it. Once in a while, we'll see George St. Pierre. But for the most part, we don't see too many fighters. What's the experience like as someone who is a fighter? What's it like being in the corner? Do you enjoy it? Is it like overly stressful? Is it something, is it a place you enjoy being? What's it like for you?
It's very stressful because if I'm in a corner with somebody, obviously I'm invested in them. I'm not just going to like, oh, someone just calls me, hey, you want to corner me at the UFC? It's like, I'd probably say yes just for the experience, but, that's rarely going to happen. So, the only people I've cornered in the UFC has been Sam Cecilia and Elizabeth Phillips. Obviously, I'm very invested in Sam's career. He's my best friend. He's my main training partner. And, Liz, of course, I'm invested in her career as well. She's an up-and-coming female, very tough fighter. But I think it's a good experience. I think that the way to make yourself a better fighter is to not just fight. You need to do everything. You need to coach. You need to, you need to hold pads. You need to instruct. You need to do seminars. You need to ref fights. That's a big thing. I think reffing fights, if you can get a chance as a fighter to ref fights, it's going to make you a better fighter. Stand in the cage in the middle of the action in a totally different perspective. It's going to make you a better fighter. You see things that you wouldn't see before. So I think that coaching is good, reffing is good. Anything you can do that involves fighting is going to make you a better fighter. So, I enjoy cornering. It's a little bit stressful because the people I corner I'm very invested in, but ultimately it's good for your career.
Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time left here. We got about 90 seconds to 2 minutes here, but you talk about learning and soaking it all in. We've seen other guys that have won the Ultimate Fighter, such as you have, and I should have thrown that out there when we introduced you. But we've seen other guys sort of get complacent, like they've arrived. You seem to really almost be that gym rat type of guy that want to soak everything in the sport. Some guys, they don't love the sport, so to speak, or they sort of get complacent. I won the Ultimate Fighter. I got the money. I'm kind of cool now. Whatever happens is sort of gravy after the fact. But I'm seeing the progression in your game, and you dominated, man. A pretty freaking tough guy in Trinaldo coming over from Brazil. Trinaldo has had some success. He's a tough-ass dude, and you're ground and pound. You're sort of involved. The stand-up's getting better. You're putting a lot of work in, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm definitely putting a lot of work in. I'm never content. After the Trinaldo fight, I felt like I lost. Just because I'm a finisher, I like to finish. I was disappointed in myself. And I got right back in the gym. I haven't taken a break. I'm staying after it, and I'm on the gold rush, man. I really want to become a world champion. I really think it's in my future. I know I'm progressing every fight. I'm learning a lot as I go. I'm staying very focused on my goal. The sport's my life. I don't have anything else. I don't got a family. I don't got a girlfriend. I don't got nothing, man. I live in my apartment. I eat, sleep, breathe, and live for fighting. I'm man on a mission, and pretty soon here, I can't say anything now, but there's a big fight announcement coming up that's it's going to shoot me up into the top 15. So, I'm on a mission, man. I'm on a mission to become a champion.
Man, I feel like I just went to a strip club here, Michael. What a tease. You can't tell us, but so you got something big on the horizon, you're saying, huh?
Yes, sir. There's going to be something good, something real good.
All right. Well, we've had your back, man. I've always been a fan of yours, and I love that you've got your eyes on the prize. And like we said, you're not just complacent. I won the Ultimate Fighter. I'm Joe Cool right now. You understand there's work to be done, and you're doing it. It's always a pleasure, my man. I wish we had more time, but we got to get rolling here right now. Mike Chiesa, class act. Always a pleasure, brother.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me out here.
There's Mike Chiesa with us. Like I said, a lot of these Ultimate Fighter dudes, we sort of, who cares after the fact? Yeah, they won. The TV show kind of sucks, and, nothing ever happens after the fact. But Chiesa seems to be different. Like you said, he wants to be a champion. He wants to get better. He wants to fight big fights. And I was hoping we could get a little nugget out of that. But, hey, it is what it is, and what it is MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network. Bring it. MMA MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues. I am Gabriel Morency. Thanks to Mike Chiesa for kicking it with us on the program. We're going to get to our videos of the week in a couple of moments' time. Let's send it to Costa Rica. Joey Odessa, the premier combat sport odds maker in the business, joins us. Joey, it's always a pleasure. How you doing?
Hey, my pleasure. What's happening tonight, Chief?
We're doing all right, Joey. We're doing all right. We're getting ready for another double header of UFC action. We got a little time to get ready for this card, and I know you hate talking about early numbers, but we're coming off the heels of the double header from a couple of weeks ago, and I actually enjoyed the marathon the all day, Joey. We started early in Germany. This one's going to start at like 2:30 in the morning East Coast time, though, next Friday.
Yeah, and actually it starts before that with the boxing, and then it goes all day Saturday with the boxing. These weekends are great for prosperity. I always say if you can't pick 3 or 4 winners out of this all these bouts, then you don't belong playing. But it's tough. It's tough to catch up with the sleep schedule and the studying and everything else.
Yeah, I've told myself that. I remember you saying that, Joey, about 2 months ago. You said if we can't win on this card, we should just quit and never bet again. And I think it was like the one card we lost.
It might have been.
Hey, they're not often.
The Brazil card.
Yeah, they don't happen often. And last week, we talked about it. The three big picks that we liked was Brendan Schaub against Arlovsky, and we lost. Bad decision. It is what it is. I'm not going to bitch and moan about it just because Schaub kind of sucks and whatever. It is what it is. But we hit Bader. We hit Rory McDonald. But I'm really looking forward to this Cubs-Swanson fight, Joey, against Jeremy Stevens, and seeing Cubs about a -250 favorite right now.
Yeah, some of these early numbers, again, you don't know where they're going to end up. I mean, look, we looked at Woodley last week. It was 150, and it went all the way to Rory, the favorite, by fight time after the broadcast. And, the same thing can happen with some of these fights. The early numbers, the early movement is usually small money, and these guys are waiting to send it in on post. I mean, I know that, all the late money was on Rory last week.
Yeah, and I pulled the trigger extremely late on Rory. I decided to wait, and I didn't get the best number, actually. I ended up laying -125 with Rory, but I don't have the bankroll sometimes. I'm in, like people live paycheck to paycheck. I'm living bet to bet, Joey. So I gotta win that fight, and then all right, I'll get in on the next one. We got Tahuna and Marquardt's the main event, and I use that term pretty loosely, but that's the main event in New Zealand. So they got Tahuna fighting in his backyard, and I cashed a bet the other night, Joey. I took the Seattle Mariners. Not a very good baseball team. They're all right, but they're not very good. But the San Diego Padres were favored in Seattle, and it was I almost had to take Seattle because of the number. And I look at this number here, Joey, with Tahuna over -200 right now. I know Nate Marquardt's lost 3 fights in a row, but really, can Tahuna be -200 against anybody?
He was a short favorite against Tua. He was a huge dog against Glover. And he was a short favorite against Ryan Gimo, who's, gosh, before his arm broke, I guess, last week. I mean, talk about heart. It's tough because Nate's lost, but Nate's losses have not been to, they've been to quality opposition. I think, Hector Lombard, okay, Ellenberger. Before that, it was Tarak Safadine, who's, I don't recall how he's doing quite lately.
But then the fight before that, he beat Tyrone Woodley, right? Right before he went on the 3-fight losing streak.
Yeah, so you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the travel, so much is going to happen between the time of this broadcast. I mean, wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I'm sure the UFC's got it all figured out, but you got visa problems. I mean, look, when Floyd can't get a visa to the UK, I mean, what do we know what's going to go on with some of these UFC guys? I mean, they're I'm not saying they're lower tier, but they're not making $50 million a fight and don't have the pull that somebody like Floyd's got. There's my Floyd plug for the broadcast.
Yeah, but you know what, Joe? And I agreed with you, but 3 weeks ago, you're bitching about Mayweather not being allowed in England, and I swear to God, like 48 hours later, the guy gets into a fight in a fat burger with T.I.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, it happens. I mean, that's what happens when you eat fast food. It's no good for you.
Yes, it's no good for you one way or another. So, hey, we saw some huge upsets, Joey, in the boxing world last week. You cashed Cotto. You had Algieri, man, at like plus what was he, like plus 700, plus 800. I thought it was a I thought it was a horrible call, though. So we only got 30 seconds here.
3 times or something. And I mean, I thought he lost the fight just by looking at him because I was watching all the other fights. It's crazy, but I mean, those things happen. I mean, it looked too easy, and I think he was a 20 or 30 to 1 underdog at some point in time in the in progress.
Yeah, he was actually, and in fact, he was plus 1,200. He was 12 to 1 going into the last damn round. So the odds makers didn't even see it coming. So we got to wrap it up, Joey. But in 10 seconds, you sitting on a live dog that you want to share?
I tell you what, how can you not take Nate? How can you not I like Jared DeRosso. I'm a Team Takedown fan. And you know what? Look at some of Charles Olivier's. I hope I said his name was right. Look at his losses. He's in against the leg lock guy, Hioki. Hioki's a big dog, but again, these numbers are going to move. These numbers are out there. They're low limit. They're going to move late. So to really put a lot of speculation on, where they're going to close in the market right now and the value of the market is not too it's not too wise right now. I think there's going to be a lot of movement on these numbers.
There is, and if you want to get in now, you can get in now, but the limits are going to be relatively low. We got to wrap it up. Joey joins me every Tuesday night, 10 o'clock on Sirius XM channel 167. We talk about all the prelims and everything else in between. It's always a pleasure, Joey.
My pleasure, G. Have a good one.
There's Joey Odessa with us, the best combat sport odds maker in the business. Come back with our videos of the week. You are watching MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network. Thanks to Joey Odessa and Mike Chiesa for kicking it with us. We got a limited amount of time for our videos of the week this week. But let's start off in Russia. And you guys know Arrow's fighting. We've showed you Arrow's before. It's basically anybody can step into the ring and throw it down in the park in Russia. Except let's give some credit where credit is due here. We're always bitching about the judging system in North America. Check out what they've done here. It's state-of-the-art type of stuff in a rudimentary way, but you get more points for like a knee to the face. You get 150 points. You get 30 points for a punch to the face. You get 15 points for a kick, to the leg. They've really come up with something interesting here. Check it out. See, he got some love from the crowd. He got a bonus there, 2,000 points.
Слушаем внимательно мои команды. Особенно реагируем на команду «Стоп». Не нарушаем правила. Защищаем себя. Публика!
Look, these Russians are doing this in a park, really, on a cell phone cam, basically. Think about the technology with Fight Metric right now. Think about the technology that is available to us for the UFC on Fox, etc. It could be done. We have a judging system that's Neanderthal-like now. Well, you got a point for taking someone down, and how do you distinguish between a significant shot to the head and a takedown, etc.? Nobody knows what's going on when it comes to judging. The judges don't know. The fighters don't know. There's a guideline, but we don't know. The Russians, that's factual. Punch to the face, 30 points. Knee to the face, 150 points. I like the little crowd love you get as well. If the crowd is into it, the crowd likes what you're doing, you get some bonus points. I don't understand, the scoring at the end there, 28, 180, and whatever the hell it all meant. But I thought that was pretty cool, and I think this can really work in a serious way. But in the future, obviously. But everyone in North America, we're so scared of change, and it's too hard to add up, and how are fans going to figure it out? Well, if they can figure it out in Russia, we can figure it out here. And you know what? We can also figure out not a good idea to go streaking in Australia. Buddy put in a chokehold, and we got the replay here. Boom, boom. That's the best takedown of the week. It's just, you know, you could have just went up and handcuffed the guy, really. You know, a brutal Brock Lesnar style takedown from behind. And then you notice, you know, he gets him in a little bit of a chokehold there, and kind of, you know, the old John Jones who was against O'Brien when he cranked his neck, the old neck crank. All right, we got some more great videos of the week. This week we had a bunch of videos stockpiled, but we didn't have enough time to get to them all. We will next week. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues. Well, this show absolutely flew by. Thanks to Michael Chiesa for throwing it down with us. It's always a pleasure breaking it down with Joey Odessa. Videos of the week. Shout out to everybody here at the Fight Network. Show's 30 minutes now, but I tell you what, it's looking pretty damn slick. We appreciate all the kind words from those of you that have been enjoying the show, and we appreciate all the words from all you haters that watch the show. Apathy kills. And speaking of killing, we hope our boy Bazooka Joseph Valtellini, kills it this weekend, fighting for the Glory Welterweight Championship. We've had him on the program in the past in studio. It'd be nice to get him in here with that nice, shiny Glory belt. The kid's a class act. We wish him nothing but the best. Check out me in Odessa every Tuesday night, Sirius XM channel 167, and all for my weekend fight picks. Check me out online, sportsragetv.com. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.